where we lived, there wasn't so much for us to be thinking about what we would be in future. AI will not take your job. Those people who use AI are the ones who will take your job. There were times I was left all alone. I became so lonely. I'm the first person in my family to become a lawyer. If you want to be successful, you have to be a thick-skinned person.
Lawyer Dickson Tweneboa-Kodua. It's really good to have you here.
Good to be with you too.
If I asked a 5-year-old or 10-year-old Dickson Tweneboa-Kodua, what do you want to do when you grow up? What would the answer be?
Our time, it was not part of our culture to be asking 5-year-olds what they would want to be in future. And then from where I grew up, a 5-year-old was too young to even think about what they would want to be. I would say that I wasn't that exposed. I would say village boy, but where we lived, there wasn't so much for us to be thinking about what we would be in future. So I would say that at 5 years, I didn't even have that capacity to think about what I would be doing in future. But I remember that around 5 years, I had been weaned from my mother. You know, my father lived at Bechim in the Brownhalf region, and my mother was in Nkrasa. And so part of the family was in Nkrasa, part was with my father at Bechim. I don't know whether I should say in Bechim or at Bechim. So it was said about me that I was very stubborn. And so my mother said she couldn't handle me. And so I should rather go to my father. My father was very strict and stern. No nonsense person. He wasn't playful. He wasn't that open. And so they believed that it was he who could handle me. And so by 5 years, at that tender age, they took me from my mother, sent me to my father's place. And over there, nobody was going to ask you about what you want to be, save that you go to school and then come back and go to school. You know that around that time, what you would do is occasionally they will ask you to write essays. Myself.
Yes.
And then at the tail end of the essay, you will write, maybe in future I will be this or that. But as I said, because I wasn't that exposed, what will I say? I had not seen a pilot before, so I couldn't say I would be a pilot. The nearest you come to an aeroplane is when one is flying, and then you go and then stand there and say, "Alupri, bye-bye." I mean, those were the things that, yes. I had never seen a lawyer before, so I couldn't say that I would be a lawyer. Soldier. So not so many professions had come my way. My father was a teacher. He taught at the school for the deaf. And I couldn't also say that when I grew up, I would become a deaf. I mean, that is not something I could dream of becoming. So I didn't have so much on my mind to decide on that I would be this or that. But I remember that when I was in the primary school, 1976, then David Kote Poison, DK Poison, fought Wilfredo Gomez and then became the world featherweight champion. And every child of my age around that time wanted to be a boxer because we liked the buzz and the fans and the following of DK Poison. Wherever you went, people talked about DK Poison. Musicians sang songs about him. I remember Senior Didonko sang a song about him, DK Poison Akoja by Momi Mbonjineso. And everywhere he went. And you know, those days, it was only GVC TV, GTV. And anytime they spoke about sports, or they discussed sports, it was about DK Poison. And so we all wanted to be DK Poison. And it was around that time that I felt like, why don't I become a boxer when I grew? And I remember those days, boys of my age will meet and box. We'll go and pick our mother's clothes and then wrap it around our fists to become like gloves. And then we will draw rings. Then we will have a referee, and then we will box. And I remember that I was tough those days until one day I was stopped by one guy. I still remember his name. He's called Anson. One afternoon, I had been sent to go to the market, and then they arranged the match. I was very hungry that afternoon. I was also going to the market, but I had met that guy, and something happened when we started. He gave me some punch on my lips, and I had a cut, and blood started oozing. The referee ran away, and they all started laughing, and so the match ended abruptly. And then they said that, oh, Anson had beaten me, and I think that was the last time I boxed.
Mm.
And
so that killed your boxing dream.
That killed my boxing dream. And I was never going to be a boxer again until I think I came to the secondary school. And then I met this friend called Rubin Daddy. Rubin Daddy liked agriculture. And he would read books about agriculture, especially about American farmers. And we would see their tractors and combine harvesters and bulldozers. And we also felt like maybe when we grow, we also should become farmers.
Let me take you back a little bit. Growing up, what is one thing that you have in mind that has never left you?
I remember that when we were growing up, we used to like reading newspapers. Okay. Myself and my senior brother, we liked reading newspapers. My father bought newspapers, and anytime he bought them, we also go. Normally, we will flip through and get to the sports column, and then we will do paper cuttings of sports personalities, and we build albums with it. So you go get some old exercise book, and then you cut the pictures of Adolf Farmer. I've forgotten their names, but these boxers and footballers, Osei Kofi, Malik Jabir, Razak, Golden Boy, matches that you go and then do the paper cuttings. And so one of the things that I grew up with was that I liked reading newspapers, to the extent that on the 8th of November 1976, I remember very well, that was the Monday after DK Poison had won a match. He had been beaten by Danny Little Red Lopez and then took his title from him. And because I liked boxing, when they gave me money to go and buy food, I used that money to buy newspapers on the Monday in order that I would read. So for the first time in my life, and at that age, I bought a newspaper. And I remember that I started becoming interested in newspapers. Then I also started becoming interested in the media. And so you would realize that my mother once told me that she wasn't surprised when I started doing media, where she said she wasn't surprised because she remembers that our time, we ourselves could sit back and then be mimicking broadcasters. We would do listener's choice. We would sing songs, because in those days you could sing from A to Z. You would sing songs, and then you break into, and then you do dedication. Me pesa me chia me nua ima ho sakumono anope nyuma me boy me bomount, those things, and then we would sit and be doing them. So I remember those days, and they were very nice.
How did you get into media?
When I was in the University of Cape Coast, I liked the media. I wanted to be in the media. So I had this friend, and I would approach him and tell him that, Charlie, I want to do media, because at UCC we had Atlantic FM. And I was, I was in Atlantic Hall. But he told me that, hey, Charlie, can you combine studies with this one? Okay, you one day come and visit me at the studio. I went there. But I wasn't so moved until after university. And I saw an ad in the Daily Graphic. GBC had advertised for vacancies for people who wanted to be broadcasters. And because I read English, my first degree is in English. Because I read English, I thought that I could do it. And so I applied. They even took my 3/4, I sent it to them. They never.
Passport picture.
Yes, they never.
Or portrait.
The portrait. They never
Okay.
responded. So I want to use this medium to tell GBC that they should bring me back my portrait because they didn't write to me. They didn't acknowledge my application. They're still keeping my portrait. That's on the lighter side. And so they didn't. I mean, nobody reached out to me. When I left school, I went back to Kumasi where I lived. And I felt some kind of constraint that I should be in the media. So I started searching for media houses. The first media house that I went to was, I think, Fox FM, because in those days, Fox FM was a very powerful media house. So I went to one of their presenters. He hosted a program called Hardball. So after the program, I waited till after the program in the evening, getting to 10 o'clock. And then they showed me that, oh, this is the man. And I went to him and I said, Charlie, I like your program and I want to be a panelist on your program. He said, oh, that work is a very dangerous, very dangerous something because we discuss politics. And here, if you say something and people can come they can come after you, you can create enemies for yourself. So I would advise you, don't do it. Rather go home and then listen so that you can be sending text messages as your contribution. Said,
okay.
Wow. So I went back. And then around that time, I heard that some station wanted presenters. And so we invited people to come for auditioning. And I went. And then I did whatever I could. I managed to get the number of the one who administered the auditioning. And so from time to time, I'll be calling him. Then he said that, oh, of the lot, I did so very well. And so let's see. I called him. I never got any response from him. Then I went to another station, Capital FM. Capital Radio is also in Kumasi. But when I got there, they asked me to bring an application. But as at that time, the steam in pursuing a dream in the media was coming to, it was evaporating. I said, oh, we cry me the other day.
Because you've tried severally.
Yes, I've tried several. And then I said, oh, let me abandon it. So I did abandon it. Then I went, one day, it came again. Then I went to a new station that had begun, Ash FM in Kumasi. And when I got there, I sent an application. So I did a follow-up. When I went there, I went to the receptionist, and then the receptionist said that I should speak to some gentleman. I've forgotten his name. I went to him, and then I said, oh, I wrote an application, and I'm following up. And then he said that, oh, we have looked at your application, but you are not the type of person we are looking for. I said, ooh, what's that?
The type of person.
I still remember. It rings in my mind. You are not the type of person we are looking for. So when I turned to go, the receptionist asked me, what did he tell you? I said, this is what he told me. He said, but he said it. And so I left.
Mm-hmm.
So it kept ringing in my mind. You are not the type of person we are looking for. So which type of people are they looking for? So that also drained my energy. Until finally, I went to another station, Mercury FM. As for Mercury FM, they stopped me at the gate. When I got there, they asked me what I wanted. I said, oh, I wanted to come and find out whether I could find a vacancy here. I want to do broadcast. And I said, no, we are not looking for people. And so I went back. Until one day, I was home. When a friend of mine, he's called Richard Pebby, he sent the wife to come to me. And when the woman came to visit me, my family, and then when she came, she said the husband had asked her to come and ask me whether I wanted to do radio. I mean, that was quite strange. That somebody from nowhere could just send their wife to come and ask you whether you wanted to do radio. I said, yeah, but I have tried sometimes, but Nobody's minding me. Like the man who sat at the pool of Bethsaida. Anytime the angel comes to stir the waters. So she said, okay. So she went back. And then the husband invited me and said, oh, my wife has come to. And I remember the wife. And anytime I say this story, I tried to pay tribute to them but for him, I wouldn't be in the media. So, yes, my wife has come to tell me this. And which station do you want? Then he said, as for him, Capital Radio is the radio he likes. I said, no, as for me, I like Fox FM. He said, oh, but as for the CEO of Fox FM, he's my friend. And so I will arrange for you. So he called the man. And then the man said I should come. It was a Friday. So I went and then I saw him. And he asked me, Wona, Mr. Pebi, Esebrahano? I said, yes. He said, now who then a bit me I said, oh, I can make me a news. He said, what can be that? I said, the women can be that, but I went to the university and I read English. So I said, what can English and just obey me a news. Then there and then, he invited the editor, the news editor, and I also remember him, George Arthur. This was in 2001. He invited him and said that he should take me to the newsroom and then test me, sort of auditioning, test me.
Okay.
And so he took me there and then he gave me scripts to read. And I read them. I don't know whether it was good or bad, but he returned to the man and told him that I was good. And then the man said, okay, if that was the case, and the editor says that I am good, then that evening I should wait and go on air. I said, what?
On your first day?
On my first day, I had not been to a studio before, like a new studio. The only studio I had been to was the GBC studio. Somewhere, we went there to sing. I was a member of the Ghana Armed Forces Teachers Choir, and we went there to sing songs. They had a program, Sing Along, and that was the first time I went to a studio. But for a new studio, and I hadn't done anything like that. The closest I had done with a microphone was in the church, because I was a regular interpreter. When people who spoke English came to church, I would be the one to do the interpretation. And so as for that, I could say that whatever experience that I had was in respect of interpretation. But the media house, no, I hadn't done that before. He said I should do it. And so I pleaded with him that he should rather excuse me Friday, and that Monday I will come. He said, okay. So when I was leaving, there was this receptionist who sat there. I think she was Sewa. I've been looking for her. So if you know her, I don't know if you know her. You don't know her. We are using this opportunity to
look for Sewa.
Sewa, wherever you are, if you perchance or anybody knows her. And then she said, "Bra, na papa no can send it to." And then I said, "Oh, I say me nkokan news enyumren, but me nye bi da me nsiesie me ho ntino. Be say me call na Monday maba." And then he said, "Hwe. Na wo na Osi onokra onye bida se obi aba ha sei na osi ko studio koye osma menka nchira osa wo kwa umma ha bio nti se me de me ne wa kona koye ne obetumi." I said, wow. And so I turned and I went to him. I said, "Boss, I think I want to do it." He said, "Okay." So I waited till 6:30. They said we should go and do show prep.
Okay.
Our time, it was an insistence that before you went on air, you have to do your show prep. It's not unlike today that people walk from their house and then straight to the newsroom and start saying things. Sometimes they haven't even read through their scripts, and then they go and say things that they know nothing about. I remember before I left the media, I could find people, sometimes they drive straight from home. 5 minutes, then they are coming from home to come and read news. You don't do that. Our time, you do show prep. For 30 minutes, you have to go through the script, ask your editor questions, ask them, "Editor, how do we pronounce this word?" I don't understand the news. Why have we done it this way? I have seen Q. What are we going to do? They say, okay, we are going to play actualization there. It will be about 2 minutes. Actualization is the voice the voice cuts that we put inside. And so you have to prepare. You read through before you go on air. And I'm saying that is not what is happening in most media houses today. They go and say anything, and because we do not have standards in this country, or our standards keep whittling every now and then in this country, whatever it is that is served to us as a people, we consume them. That is the pathetic something that is happening to this country. Anybody comes to sit there and says trash, and we are happy. And then they are getting the numbers, and then people are saying that, oh, you are doing things right. Oh, keep on. They come and insult. When we became journalists, we were taught that there were things that you did not do. You will not publish things that offend the cultural sensibilities of people. We don't insult people in public. We don't insult elderly people. But today, here we are. Anybody is insulting anybody. Anything, things that we don't even talk about in the open. Today, we are talking about in the name of freedom of expression. But every freedom is regulated. It is said that an unbridled freedom is incompatible with any civilized society. I'm a lawyer, and I know that there is freedom of expression, freedom of the media, but every freedom is regulated. The same constitution that provided the freedom also has provided regulations. And so you can't say that because you are a media person, you can go and sit and talk trash, disparage people's reputation, and think that you can get away with it. Go and see the number of cases in the courts. And I have been a lawyer. I've defended media houses and defended journalists. Sometimes you go say trash, and at the end of the day, you go behind and then beg. I have been doing that for a number of times. You go and then settle. You go and plead with people. Oh, yes, yes, the next time they go get so energized because they've gotten into the studio. I would want to say this and put on record. 20 plus years of media, no, I never went to court. Nobody's ever said that I had said anything against them and that I should come to court. It never happened. And so on that day, coming back to my story, I waited. They gave me my scripts. Then when we entered the studio, and that was the first time I went into a room that had air conditioning. And I started feeling, who was so, hey, what is this? Then the lady, she's called Mavis Mensah. Then Mavis Mensah said that after they had played the jingle, first of all, I didn't know the jingle. What is jingle? Then I pretended I knew the jingle. Later on, I got to know that the jingle is that thing that they play before. So they start Fox FM, pam, 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 whatever, until it ends. And then you start, you mention the time and then your name and whatever. So you mention the time, you mention the station, you tell them you are coming to read news, you are this and that, you are doing so with somebody. Said, I'm going to do that. I didn't mean that. This lady didn't have any mercy on me. So now so we can swabber, they come meet here. And so they started playing. I said, Jesus Christ. It was like the whole world was listening. And I didn't tell anybody I was going to cast news. So if people hear that I'm doing this, what kind of nonsense is that? Forgive my French. And so I sat there. They said I should go and do it, so I was doing it. And then the jingle ended. Then I started. Then I realized that I was making mistakes. I would mispronounce. At a point, I heard myself saying, Jesus Christ. It came, Jesus Christ. Well, at the end of the day, we finished. And I looked at the lady's face. I realized she was not enthused at all because this was a veteran. And she did it. Yeah. She did it and she had the flair. She did it so nicely. Her pronunciation, so relaxed, so confident. And mine was rigid, full of mistakes. Wow, but I did it. That was Friday. And so that was how I came into the media. And subsequently, I realized that they were still allowing me to do it. And then I started getting feedback. And the feedback was not positive. And so at a point, I said to myself that I wanted to quit because I myself felt that I wasn't doing well until I started doing well. Until I started doing well. And within 6 months, I was doing 797. If you were a newscaster at Fox FM, you were doing 797. It meant that you are a top notch. 797 is 7 in the morning. That was prime time. That was their morning show program. And if you were not that good, Kwame Adinkra would not allow you to be on his program. And I was doing 7 o'clock in the morning. I was doing 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was doing 7. Then he even created other times. I was doing 2. Until somewhere along the line, they put me on their morning show to do translation for them. Within 6 months, I had started hosting programs. So you can see the transition. But I started, and then let me say that for those people who will be watching, when I started media, I was not paid. They told me that they would not pay me because I had come to learn. And so if there was anybody to make payment, I rather should be paying the station for giving me the platform to acquire skill and not they paying me. Until about 3 months, when the CEO himself called me and said, "But you, did they pay you?" I said, "No." I said, "Why?" "But you said that you shouldn't pay you." So they called the general manager and said, "Do you pay him?" And from that day on, they fixed something for me. Mm-hmm. And then I started taking money. Then I realized that now life in the media, and I started getting fans. People liked me, and then they liked my programs, the way I hosted, and I remember I started getting awards. They would do awards for presenters, and I was getting awards for whatever it was that I was doing. Until after some time, that station started chasing me, and then I got poached after I think 3 years or so with Fox FM, and then I joined Hello FM. It was a new station, and became a programs manager. Later on, became a general manager. And as for the work that I did in the media, we would need a full day to talk about what I did in the media. Yes. But this is how I came into the media.
At what point did you decide to do law, like to pursue
2004? Before 2004, I was walking in town, and then I met one of my friends. He is called George Tweneboa-Kodua. And so when we were mates at the University of Cape Coast, and my bench, sorry, Otia on fight champion. That's what we did on fight champion. I grew up at the meeting, but I met him one day in Kumasi, and when I met him, I said, "George, if you say you school me, who would that?" And then he said, yeah. So I said, "So what are you doing in town?" He said he had come to Kumasi to find somebody to buy his car because he had gotten admission to the law school. And so he wanted to sell his car to pay law school fees. I didn't have a car. Buying a car was my dream. You have gotten a car, and you are going to sell that car to pay law school fees. At the law, then law school fees. That must be crazy, I thought. But it kept ringing in my mind. And then subsequently, one day I was walking in town, and then I saw another mate of mine. He's called Yanchra. He's a lawyer. He was wearing black and white suit. And then I saw him sharply dressed. And I said, "Hey, man, what does he say?" And then when I got closer, I realized that I knew him. I said, "Hey, Yanchra," and to say, "Now, if I what dress is I also a student for law school." He said, "Whoa, wow, I see." So I said, no, I want to talk to you about this law. Around that time, KNUST wanted to introduce law, and I was in the media. And some of us in the media had become interested because we wanted to take advantage of the law that KNUST wanted to introduce. Then the Professor Andam was the Vice Chancellor. And so because of our personal interest, every now and then we will invite him to come and tell us how that was going on. And, Prof, now, I didn't know because if I say Basu, and so in 2003, KNUST introduced law. And I remember I'm one of the first people who applied. That year I didn't get admission, but the following year I got admission. I went to sit for the entrance examination and got admission. So I became interested in pursuing law, not because anybody in my family was a lawyer. In fact, I'm first generation. I'm the first person in my family to become a lawyer. Subsequently, other people have also become lawyers in my family, and I know a lot more people who become lawyers. I have friends who have become lawyers, and I won't talk about that anymore. But I'm telling you, that is how it began. Fortunately for me, lectures were held in the evenings. So I was working and schooling. And that is something I have been doing most part of my life. In fact, since 1988, when I started teaching, it has become working and schooling every now and then. 1988, while working, I was studying for A-level. Then I went to the university. They gave me study leave. After university, I came to work. While working in 2004, I started schooling. So I'll go to work and go to school, go to work, go to school. Till now, I still school and work. And I remember, as for you, Ima, there were times I had to sleep in the chamber when I was pursuing my master's. I had to sleep. In fact, we had to sleep because I would tell Ima that Ima, and I am confused because I needed Ima to be around so that I could finish off. So normally when it's about 10 o'clock, I'll call home and tell them that, because I had to study. And so I have been schooling and working. And I remember that my master's, I was pursuing my master's, Staffordshire University, and it was a blend, hybrid. And so while you are here, you'll be paying in pounds. And there were times I had to fall on friends to get money to do that. Same way when I came to the law school is, it's a whole episode that we can talk about. The struggles I went through when I came here, a whole lot of things went on. But I never was discouraged. I went on and on. I had my slips and falls and all that, but I pursued. So that's how come. For 4 years, I was at KNUST because it was a 4-year course. I remember one day I had to travel out of the country to China. And so for the period that I was away, they were having lectures and I was over there. And when I came back, the very week that I came back, there was midsem. So I had to go gather notes and then study, prepare, go write the midsem, what you people call IA. I had to go and then write. I remember when I came, I was not even well. My neck had become stiffened. Those of you who know China, it's a 15-hour journey from Accra to Dubai to Beijing. It's not easy. And then when I came back, and I had to come back and then read. From Beijing to Shanghai to Xi'an before we came back to Accra. Oh my goodness, it was quite a trip. And I was the only journalist on the trip. I went to with Otumfuo. And then every now and then there was something for me to do. I had to prepare my stories and file them. And so there were times they had to come to Accra on relieving duty. Sometimes a month I would be in Accra. And then my mates would be schooling and they have to notes. Normally they are sending me or Hase. And then sometimes I had to go and write midsem. I go to Kumasi on Thursday evening, write the midsem, come back by bus at dawn, come and do Kokroko in the morning when Kwame Sefa was absent. Then after the morning show, I'll go back to Kumasi in the evening to go and write another midsem, and then wait till Saturday to write another midsem, and then come back to Accra on Sunday so that I can start Kokroko on Monday. I have gone through all these things before in order to acquire my LLB and then finally come to the School of Law. And so that is how I came to be the lawyer that I have come to be
Yes.
now.
So after you completed, you worked at other law firms and all of that. Moving to set up your own law firm, how was the transition? What were some of the challenges? Was it a smooth sailing?
No. It can't be. It couldn't have been a smooth sailing. And I remember that one day I met my former boss, and I set the law firm, and I want to pay tribute to my lovely brother-in-law, Reverend Professor Cephas Na Omenyo. I take my time to mention his name. Reverend Professor Cephas Na Omenyo. I live with him, but for him, I could not have gone through law school. The reason being that when I came to the law school, my employer said that I should go to school without pay. I should do study leave without pay, because they wanted me to defer the course. And I said I could not defer. Law school, in school, I defer. So I went to school in October, November, December, January, February. They wrote a letter to me that I should proceed on leave without pay. And that meant that I had to fend for myself. And I had to fall on my sister and the husband. I have to tell this story. I don't have to hide it. I just want to let people know that some of the struggles that we go through. Law school is a place that you come to. Sometimes you can lose your job. You can lose your marriage. Your wife will divorce you for coming to the law school, because studying law is it's a very jealous enterprise. Law is a very jealous enterprise. People have lost their jobs. People have lost their marriages. People have lost a lot of things because of law school. And I also lost my job. Mine was, you go to your school. We will not pay you, but go to school without pay. And so I had to fall on my brother-in-law. So it was he who, after school, gave me money to set up the office. Initially, my intention was not to set up an office. I worked with Lexfields and Partners. Very fantastic. This is a fantastic law firm. And I pay tribute once again to my senior, Her Ladyship, Professor, Mrs. Justice Olivia Ankuchede. Fantastic woman. She is now a judge or justice of the Court of Appeal. In fact, she gave me so much, and that is what has brought me here. So after working for a while for that law firm, I was still working in the media, because notwithstanding the fact that when I went to the law school, I was asked to go on study leave without pay. It was not my intention to quit the media. I wanted to be a lawyer and still do my media work, just like other people are doing. And so for some other reasons, I found my way back to the media house. That is also a story that we need to discuss, so that maybe employers will also know. If you give somebody an opportunity to go to school, you are not throwing away money. In fact, you are educating people. If they are honest enough to come back to work for you, you have gotten a gem. I came back to work for my employers. I didn't abandon them. But it's a story that we need to tell one day. But so when I came back, I realized that practicing law and being in the media was becoming a challenge for me. And sometimes it isn't everybody who give you that kind of room to operate. And so at a point, I had to step out from law practice in order to concentrate on the media, because it had become a bread and butter issue. When I left the law school, before I went to the law school, I had a family. I have mouths to feed. I have school fees to pay. And I had become a lawyer, and money was not going to come there immediately. And then. Immediately, you won't get that money. And I was in the media, and as for the media, at the end of the month, at least no coffee will come. So I felt that, so let me do this. I'm here, and then see what life will be. And the transition was that, so let me say this. I proposed to my employers that we should set up a legal department, that because I was a lawyer, I would man that legal department. They did not subscribe to that proposal. And I would say this, not out of bitterness. I'm not complaining. Throughout the period I was working, I didn't have an office for myself. I didn't have an office. And so I was using my boss's office. I didn't have a desk. All I was doing is that I would go there, do my program, UTV, and then, find myself somewhere. And so somewhere along the line, I said that, okay, why don't I set up an office? Not necessarily a law firm, but an office where I can sit, private office. And my view was that I was going to use that office to do some businesses, whatever, I would generate ideas and do some businesses. So when my brother-in-law, I lived with him when I was in the law school, asked me what I wanted to do now that I had become a lawyer and I was doing media. I said, Prof, se menye ska, anka bepe se meye, nka menya me office anka bepe. So he himself went to my present location where I have my office, Tesano, Mr. Ofori's place. And that is where I have been since 2013. So he gave me 10,000 Ghana cedis. And the 10,000 Ghana cedis could secure me a tenancy for 1 year. And so he got me that office. And I went to that office just like God created the world. It was empty. There was nothing in that office. When I went there the first day, there was absolutely nothing. And I was the only person who was there the first day when I got to that office. And I have gone through struggles. And for purposes of business, this is a model that we all need to have our mind to. There were times that I even wanted to abandon that office, but I held on to it. There were times I was left all alone. I became so lonely. People joined me and left. I never knew that you could have broken heart when your employee leaves you, because then you are like, "Ooh, I'm now alone." And then, I have gone through all that. I have gone through moments when you are even struggling to do the bare minimum, like paying rent, paying your staff. All those things have happened to me before, but I held on to it. People will come and then they will leave. And then you have to be alone because you came alone. Alone you came, alone you have to stay. and so I've gone through that, but I won't say that it was an easy something, because you start without a client. Or even if you have a client, and you have to work and then maintain that client to get them to maintain them so that you can retain them, and then they can even refer to you other clients. Is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. And I remember when I came to do work on my own, there was nobody to look up to. You have to look up to yourself. You have to look up to yourself. And I have survived till now.
You have.
And now people are looking up to me also.
Is there something that you would have done differently? Looking back, maybe some of the decisions you made or how you went about things.
But yes, I would say that I would have been, now, if I were my age, at the time that I was doing some of these things, I would be more determined, more adventurous, creative, crafty, strong, focused. These are some of the things that, I wouldn't be doing excuses. Honestly, when I left the media, a week after I had left the media, I regretted. I said to myself that I should have left earlier. That is what I said to myself, that I should have left earlier. Because then that would have, and one day we would have to talk about why I left the media and why I thought and still think that it was a good decision to take, and why I think that and thought that I should have left earlier because I wanted a certain kind of lifestyle, a lifestyle that I will be on my own and still survive. Because at a point in my life, I'm going to be on my own anyway. And so why don't I start at a time that I have energy so that I can build something and then rely on that something that. So there are things I would have done things differently. I would have been crazier, the more. I would have been more determined. No, go and do it. There are things that you do and you don't even think about not sit down and then be thinking about risk. Yes, risk, calculated risk. But sometimes there are things that you will not see top. I didn't know why you I'll tell you a story. The day before we started at the Chinsroma on UTV, I was home when my boss then called me. When he called me, he said, Black TK, I was saying, your machines now for UTV, you test you. And he just I said, okay, I'll come. 4:00, I went. I had not done TV before. We had not even prepared which type of program we were going to have. We didn't even have a name for the TV. There was no format. And so when we went, they asked me to sit down like I'm seated. They did makeup. They said they were testing the cameras. And they said I should say something. So I said, oh, no. Kabibi. And then it was there and then that we even, concluded on the name at the Chinsroma. And after we had done something small, not any in-depth anything, they said, tomorrow we have started. I said, Father Pa. Anyway, now me TV no cry at least I will say a trans na yes share. And let me tell you that the first person who drove a car, he hadn't driven a car before. True. The first person who flew an aeroplane, who taught him how to fly. The first person who became professor, who vetted his thesis for him to become professor. Who told him he's a professor? Who told him? And that is how this world is like. But we have turned the world upside down. And that is why some of us, we would never become anything in life. Because we want to do so much before we can do so much. But sometimes you don't do anything. The Bible even says that if you have faith like a mustard seed and you are looking for a seed like a lugmintu, how can you can't achieve anything in life? You want a seed like watermelon. Meanwhile, the thing they say that you need seed like mustard seed. Mustard seed is and some of us that is why some of us we always want to see Bibi Ansana ya Jubia D. We want to see Bibi Ansana. Me, if you follow my steps, you might think that nothing is happening. But me, things are happening every day in my life. People who are close to me, they know it. If you don't take it, you might think that the ask was on your shit. But before you realize, bingo, the thing is there. That's how I live my life. Yeah. I'm full of surprises. Yeah. My life is full of surprises. And I remember my boss then, he knew me, pa. I say, oh, because he's known me. He's known me. He said, Munjano. And then I said, no, Father, but these things, no, TK. The next morning we were there. We started. And I remember those days, I didn't even know how to look into the camera. My eyes were like this. Sometimes, like the radio, I'll be making mistakes. I didn't even know to say a chef or a T4. I say a T4 mama chin, then I'll say a T4 your mama chin. I mean, those bazaar. But I fortified myself. I said, my mistake in TDA. And you know me and my comic self. Sometimes when I make mistakes, I say, then as well, because I think mistakes. And I faced the cameras and it got to a point that I became so used to. I would sit and I made sure that if I did a program today, tomorrow you won't get me because I will come with something new. That was how I did my programs. And I would sit and then craft things, and people said I was jovial. Most of the things I came to say, I didn't think about them. They came naturally. It came naturally. But I was a very determined somebody. I would not antagonize my guests, but I will make sure that I have studied. You won't get away with it with me. And people prepared. They knew that and then I will also not fight my guests. I always make sure that diplomatically I'll find a way of getting you back on track. That one I will do it. And that is how I did my media. And if you remember the success story, I would say, and I would take credit for it, together with those who were with me, that immediately we started the Additions From that point on, it became a flagship program on UTV and among TV shows. So be any say UTV show no there. Then you bad, and I'm a boy.
Oh, solid.
And then I wrote this program to what's the program?
Yes,
it's my content. I was a student when I developed it, and I liked it, until I started not liking it again.
Why?
No. I mean, that's also a story that and people say that I abandoned it. No. It's like you playing football, and then your boss says that Bertrand Chain. I mean, that's the story. That's the story. That's it. If you want me to say more, I will say more next time. But that's it.
Okay.
So back to what you said. So yes, it's good to plan, but sometimes what plan is here though. Did you be now better? It's like somebody who has learned how to drive. You start your engine and you are there revving the engine, boom, 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 and you are there. Switch the gears and move. And I'm saying that is how it is like. If you are starting a program, you want no. May you say no. Men start say.
Then
Exactly. That's how you do things. That's how you do things. So me, I have learned more by doing than reading. I have learned more because I went to the training college, and I remember that some of the things, teaching methods says that I see, I hear, I forget. I see, I remember, I do, I understand. And so that is it. Anything that I do, I try to work on it and see how, and I like picking myself and then going to do whatever it is that I do. I don't like it sitting down and say, oh, okay, I do your business, no, your business. So yeah. Start here. Oh yeah, I be and that's how I've lived my life till now.
So how did you discover AI? Like let's move
I
into.
should be so that around this time I am the host and you are the guest. So and you know it. I never knew anything about. First of all, let's say I had never encountered AI. I had known that there was AI, artificial intelligence. Damn you, who are you? We're talking about God-given intelligence. And people are talking about
and the law.
And the law.
Yeah.
And the rule of law. And the constitution. And the cases.
You say AI.
And you are talking about AI. Damn you, AI. And then you remember one day when I was in the office. And prior to that, I had become so stressed up and a lot of work on my table. I couldn't do them. Processes sitting, I couldn't do them. And then came Ima. And the two of us, we go way back. Even though we are not, it's not money that has kept the two of us together.
Not at all.
Not at all. Because if it was about money, you wouldn't come to me. Sometimes you come and then you have to find your way home because I wouldn't have time to give him. So kudos to Ima. And then you come and then Ima said, boss, I did be a bow. And he said, when he bet you, a killer. I said, what? And let me tell anybody who is watching, me, I'm an open-minded person. Notwithstanding my age. I said, really? What is it? He said, ChatGPT. I said, GPT, what is it? Even mentioning the name self was a problem. I don't know. to say GTP or GPT because Ghana high GTP ni makoso text. I said,
yeah.
I said, GPT, what is it? I said, okay, so boss, let me set the account for you. This one, it can do anything. So yeah, because I am an open-minded person, I said, okay, let me do it. So the first day, he must set up the account. You remember, we were in the office. Then he said, so you type something and ask it to do it. He said, instructions. Later on, I got to know that what you people call instructions is prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I'm a certified prompt engineer. Yes, me. Those of you who do not know, I am certified. I have a certificate. I don't want trouble. And otherwise, next time when I'm coming, I'll bring my certificate so that the Pharisees will not go and say that I don't have a certificate. I have a certificate. I'm certified by the Blockchain Council.
Yeah.
And then I did it. I said, do this for me, do this for me. I said, hey, what sort of this is that? Then I'll do it again. I'll do it again. And then Ima went. For the rest of the day, I will not do anything again. I was there giving instructions. Write a poem. I want music. I want you to turn this music into musical notes. Turn this poem into musical notes. Then I will see the Concon people say, hey, wow, so I can even give this to a keyboardist or a pianist to play. Oh my, somebody say, oh my goodness. You will say goodness. I say, oh my goodness. What is happening to this world? I shut my laptop. Early enough that day I went home early. My laptop under my armpit, I went home. I didn't talk to anybody. Hey, what is happening? Something is happening in this world. I went into my room, took my glasses, my charger, my laptop. I didn't say anything. I sat down. I worked till 12 midnight. Then at a point, I gave some commands. And the kind of results I got, I started becoming afraid. I looked to the left whether somebody was there. I didn't hear any bossman as a demon and a I didn't tell you. And I just this in Abbey. I did, what is it? Then I kept on. 1 a.m. I was still awake. So I sat up, and then we are saying, wow. And from that day on, my life has not been the same.
What is one thing people will be surprised to learn about you?
That when I start talking about AI, there will be people have said, we have known him being a lawyer, but it's just like when Jesus came and started preaching. The people said that, where did he get all these things from? You know what they said? They said, is this not the carpenter's son? Is his mother not Mary? Are his sisters and brothers not with us? Where did he get these things from? When they start seeing me talk about artificial intelligence, that's what they will say, but he can do no. Utie. I don't know how to do for heavy do. But that's the word.
So is there a particular book or movie or quote that has had a big impact on your life?
Books. I like the episodes in the Bible. I use them and then I learn the truths in them. One day Jesus told his disciples that they should go to a place. They will go and find a donkey. They should tell them that they should saddle the donkey. You hear the English that they should saddle the donkey and then bring it. And then when they ask them, they should say that the Lord says that I should bring it. Which Lord? So one day, TK Sam was going to buy. I discussed wealth and how we do things with it. Went to the gobe owner and said, Davi, na chama say the method gobe be na chama ben. Chama. Mr. Moment be my chairman. Why? Where is the chairman? We created a mystery figure. Chama say method be mra. Urano say
Sa gobe ni mi dibi.
Odibi.
Come on.
Yeah, abantem okoye na nipa gu akofa ntem kraba. So I learn from some of these things. Because sometimes, Emmanuel, life can become very hard. To me, she's so much, so no address it, come on, no about time, no secret, to say the BBA and course. Now,
And you have to keep doing what you have to do.
Oh my goodness. And sometimes there is nobody to turn to. And there is nobody to tell your pains to. Nobody. In fact, there are some pains. How can't you be crying? No. It's okay. It's okay. Look, people like Trump. Do you know what I have learned about Trump? Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Thick skin. Thick skin. In this life, if you want to be successful, you have to be a thick-skinned person. Because you bet me a fairly papa. Now I am more bona why but you still have to move on. You can learn same from President John Dramani Mahama. He was vilified, insulted, cursed. They said he was incompetent. Never again. We wouldn't get him. Even prophets, or so-called prophets, he said it will never happen. La. Today, he's the president of the Republic of Ghana.
Yeah.
Akufo-Addo. If you were him, you would not. But the Mendy president and I day. Started President Bakupa BPD from 2000 until 2016. But in 2016, the glory came. He became president of the Republic of Ghana. Nefe. No control exams and ra. What feeling? What's the main trouble? What's up? If you think that by not writing you would have something else to do, no problem, go into it. So those are the people I read about. Jeff Bezos. Azuma Nelson, I watch him. Warren Buffett, watch him. The sage of Omaha, that's how they call him. Very smart. So anybody I watch, I have something to learn about that person.
So let me ask you this last question. What is one word that you want people to think of when they hear your name?
One word?
Mm-hmm. Hope.
Because if you want me to explain, then I have to explain.
Why hope?
Yeah, because if I hope, and if I don't have money now, I'm hopeful that by evening I'll have money. Or tomorrow. Because it has happened to me several times. When I cut my nails, I get new nails. When I shave, hair comes. So I may not have it today. I'll have it next time. It has happened to me several. I lose a car, I get another car. I lose an employee, I get another employee. They flash me out from a place, I go to another place better than where I was. So what is my business is not being hopeful. Hope is life. If you want us to shake hands, we will shake and close.
Thank you so much for coming.